he had a kickboxing fight. He's a legitimate Muay Thai fighter.
I heard he's nice with it.
Oh, yeah, he's good. And he fought a good guy. Like, it wasn't a bullshit fight. It was a fight. It wasn't like he went out there and just knocked this guy out with one punch.
They were scrapping.
Oh, yeah, it's a good fight. And he trained for a long time. It takes a long fucking time to develop that kind of timing and poise and movement.
A lifetime.
Yeah, forever. So what he did, though, is it shows character that he took that chance. That's a rare person.
Idris Elba is an awesome actor. I am a fan. But I became an even bigger fan once I discovered what he had put himself through to challenge himself physically. I came across this documentary where Idris Elba challenged himself to make his pro kickboxing debut after training for only 1 year. So he went into this with no prior experience. Looks like he started his journey at the Double K gym in the UK. They started his training with sparring. Being in his mid-40s, at this time I think he was about 45 years old, so his body kind of gave out very early. It looks like in the second round he was so exhausted that his body went into shock and his knees just gave out. After just the first training session, within like the first weeks I think, he found out that he had 2 slipped discs in his back. And for him to continue, he had to have surgery. This cut 8 weeks out of his training camp. After getting back into his training, it looks like him and his coach went to Japan, went over there to work with some of the pro kickboxers at a gym in Japan, and he got a lot of great work, but he also spent some time working on his body conditioning with some karate masters. The idea was trying to learn how to conquer pain so he could become desensitized. He made sure not to skip the opportunity to spar with some pro Japanese kickboxers, and he actually did pretty well. From there, he was saying that the training was starting to get to him, in the exhaustion and the training, because I think at the time for a chunk, I would imagine for a majority of that year, he did have projects that he was still working on. So he was filming a movie, and he said he was filming 5 to 6 days a week, 8 to 12-hour days, and then having to train on top of that. So, and then given his age and all that stuff, he said the exhaustion was just getting to him, as it would get to anyone. While still in the UK, he did get some good rounds in with some notable heavyweight pro boxers. This is right before he and his coach decided to go down to Cuba to work with some of the boxing coaches down there. While in Cuba, he was training at Havana's only kickboxing gym. The idea of going down to Havana and training there was to train in like this excessive heat, to get used to training in that heat and to get used to the exhaustion that comes with that. While there again, he did not miss the opportunity to train with some highly talented Cuban boxing champions. Now, it's established that before he can do a professional kickboxing bout, he has to have an amateur bout, at least one amateur bout. So his coaches book an amateur bout, and he has to go back to London to fight this bout. And they did not settle on a slouch of any kind. The opponent they picked for him was an amateur kickboxing champion who was 10-0 at that time. So here we are, Idris Elba's fighting his first amateur kickboxing match. That would be a massive achievement for a celebrity, period. But this is just a gateway into what he really wants to do, which is this pro kickboxing bout. In the first round, he came out blazing and he got gassed, and that's normal. A lot of adrenaline, a lot of excitement, and fear. You go out there and you try to just put it on your opponent hoping that's going to break them. But if it doesn't, you're left exhausted. And that took its toll for sure, because in the second round, Idris does get dropped. He doesn't get dropped and he's not put out cold, he just drops to one knee. That's still a count. He does survive that round and goes on to finish the fight, and it goes to a decision. So in his amateur debut, he fought to a majority draw. Now, that is a good achievement for someone who had no previous training and just picked up kickboxing several months prior. But it also shows that there's a longer road that they have to travel for him to be successful in his pro kickboxing bout. What you learn about Idris through this journey, through this documentary, is that he's driven to do well. He's not just doing this to just go in there and survive or see how it goes. He really wants to challenge himself, but challenge himself in a way where he comes out victorious in a professional kickboxing bout. Now, there are 9 weeks between his amateur bout and his pro fight. His coach talks about how about 5 weeks out, they start training about 6 hours a day and they really ramp things up. From there, they take a trip to Thailand for some intense Muay Thai training. Through all this training and now training in Thailand and all the intensity of everything, it looks like it's causing a lot of fatigue and weight loss. He's at a point of almost quitting, but he pushes through that and gets into some serious Thai sparring rounds. Now, as the information comes out about what Idris Elba is doing, there's a lot of fighters in the community who really don't believe that he could handle a real fight. It's just too brutal of a sport for an actor in his 40s to come out and do well at all. It's just a hard thing for professional kickboxers to buy into, given what they've had to go through to get their success. An opponent is booked for Idris. His name is Lionel, and he is a beast. Given Idris Elba's status, he wanted it to be like a low-key kind of affair. He didn't want to make it a big, grand affair. I could understand that given his status. I mean, I didn't even know about this until the documentary came out. But if it was a big thing, there would have been a lot of news, a lot of celebrities, and if he didn't do as well as he hoped, it could just have been very stressful. Looks like these guys were fighting at heavyweight. I think it just came in at about 196 and change. So, not a small guy he's fighting. Heavyweight that brings a lot of power and a lot of experience and a lot of wins. The pro bout takes place under the ISKA, which is a legitimate officiating body for kickboxing. When the fight starts, man, this guy is putting it on Idris, and he's in for a war. This is a different level, and this guy is like having fun. He's smiling. I think he thinks it's gonna be an easy meal for him to eat. But I'm telling you, from what I was watching through this documentary, Idris Elba found a part of himself, or maybe it was always out there on the surface, but he was able to push through a lot of pain and a lot of hardship to achieve this goal. He was not gonna just flop. So he wins. This is awesome. Now, I've been doing some of these videos talking about some of these celebrities who really step out of the box. They live a very sheltered and comfortable life, I would imagine. Don't know for sure. But you would imagine they live that way. And it could be a very easy way to live. Even if they train, you would imagine that they're kind of shielded a little bit and taken care of, and they just kind of do it for exercise. But somebody like Idris Elba who steps out of that and really decides to like go full in and become a professional athlete, even if it's for one fight, at 44 years old, that is something that anyone can be inspired by. Even more so given the fact that he just didn't have to do this, but he made something for himself. For whatever reason, whatever desire, whatever drove him to do this, he achieved it. So again, I was already a fan, and now I'm a bigger fan. Got nothing but love for people who are gonna put themselves out like that and challenge themselves to that extent when they don't even have to. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you enjoyed these videos, please be sure to like and subscribe. We'd appreciate the support, and I'll see you in the next video.